Okay, boys and girls, this is Mrs. Pelletier again with one more book by Kevin Henkes. This is called Sheila Ray the Brave. And again, he does the illustrations and the words in this picture. Can you notice from the front cover, the characters look very similar in all of these books. They're all mice. And if you look, how do you think it's called Sheila Ray the Brave? How do you think Sheila feels about herself? She's got a big flag. She's feeling pretty brave. Okay, we're gonna, again, let's think about how she changes throughout this story. Sheila Ray the Brave. Sheila Ray wasn't afraid of anything. Okay, so this is her sister, Louisa, and how do you think she feels? Sheila Ray, she's pretty confident. She says she's not afraid of anything. Let's see. She wasn't afraid of the dark. She wasn't afraid of thunder and lightning. And she wasn't afraid of the big black dog at the end of the block. And then she says, "Are you sleeping, Sheila Ray?" So this is her little sister, and she's an important part of the story. So pay attention to some of the things that you see. See, she's always in these illustrations. She's hiding a little bit. So she's fearless, Sheila Ray. At dinner, Sheila Ray made believe that the cherries in her fruit cocktail were the eyes of dead bears, and she ate 5 of them. So she pretended that they were bear eyes, and she ate them. At school, Sheila Ray giggled when the principal walked by. And when her classmate Wendell stole her jump rope during recess, Sheila Ray tied him up until the bell rang. "I am very brave," Sheila said, patting herself on the back. So look at that. She tied him up. Sheila Ray stepped on every crack in the sidewalk without fear. Have you ever heard that? Don't step on the crack because you'll break your mother's back. So she stepped on them and she didn't care. When her sister Louise said there was a monster in the closet, Sheila Ray attacked it. So see, Louise, the little sister, saying, "There's a monster in there." And she is not scared. Look at her with her father's shoes on, or her mother's, and her outfit. And she rode her bicycle no-handed with her eyes closed. "Yay, yay, Sheila Ray," her friends yelled, clapping their hands. Oh my goodness, and see, her sister's got her eyes closed, her hands over her eyes. She can't watch. She's afraid that she's going to get hurt. She is very brave. I don't think I would do that. One day, Sheila Ray decided to walk home from school a new way. Louise was afraid to. "You're too brave for me," Louise said. "You're always such a scaredy cat," Sheila Ray called. "Am not," whispered Louise. How do you think Louise feels when she says, "Oh, you're just a scaredy cat"? I don't think she feels very happy. And look at, you can tell from her face, her eyes, she's not very happy that she said that. Let's see what happens next. Sheila Ray started off skipping. "I am brave," she sang. "I am fearless." She stepped on every crack. She walked backwards with her eyes closed. She doesn't think anything's going to happen to her. She growled at stray dogs, and she bared her teeth at stray cats. So she went like this. See? She showed them her teeth, mean. And she pretended that the trees were evil creatures. She climbed up them and broke their fingers off. Snap, snap, snap. So she's pretending that the tree is a monster, an evil creature, and broke off the fingers of the creature. Sheila Ray walked and walked. She turned corners. She crossed streets. It suddenly occurred to Sheila Ray that nothing looked familiar. Now, look at these illustrations carefully, because I want you to notice something. Who are you noticing are also in the pictures. Look at, there's her sister's tail, ponytail, there she is, there she is. So she's walking, they're walking together, but it occurs to Sheila Ray that nothing looked familiar. Uh-oh, I think she might be lost. And look at her face, how's she feeling? And there's little sister, let's see what happens. Sheila Ray heard frightening noises. They sounded worse than thunder. She thought horrible thoughts. They were worse than anything she had ever imagined. I am brave, Sheila tried to convince herself. I am fearless. What clues does Kevin Hankes tell us to show us that the sister is nearby? Do you look? Do you see her right there, and right there? There's that ponytail. So he's giving us little clues that she's still there. Let's see what happens. The sounds became more frightening. The thoughts became more horrible. Sheila Ray sat down on a rock and cried, "Help!" She sniffed. She thought of her mother and father and Louise. "Mother, father, Louise," she cried. Oh boy. Is she appearing to be very brave there? But who's still with her? I don't think she realizes her sister's still with her, Louise. And look at, you can see her tail right there. "Here I am," a voice said. "Louise," Sheila Ray hugged her sister. "We're lost," Sheila Ray said. "No, we're not," said Louise. "I know the way home. Follow me." Louise stepped on every crack. She walked backwards with her eyes closed. She growled at stray dogs and bared her teeth at stray cats. She's doing exactly what Sheila Ray did. What are you thinking now about Louise? Louise was the scaredy cat before, but now what's happening? And she pretended that the trees were evil creatures. She jumped up and broke their fingers off. Snap, snap, snap. Sheila Ray walked quietly behind her. They walked and walked. They crossed streets. They turned corners. Look at that. So now Sheila Ray is watching Louise. Soon their house could be seen between the trees. Sheila Ray grabbed Louise and dashed up the street. When they reached their own yard and the gate was closed behind them, Sheila Ray said, "Louise, you are brave. You are fearless." She got them home. And she did things that her big sister did before, but she wouldn't even think of doing. So "We both are," said Louise, and they walked backwards into the house with their eyes closed. So this shows us that sometimes even the bravest and most fearless still can get a little scared and they may need help. So how does she change? Remember I asked you to think about that? Remember how she was so bold and fearless and strong, but then she changed when she got lost and she needed her sister, Louise. So both of them end up changing. Louise was a scaredy cat in the beginning and looked up to her sister and said, "Oh, you're fearless." And then in the end, she ended up being brave because she found their way. She helped them find their way home. Okay, so it's a happy ending, just like many of these Kevin Hankes books. So I'd like you to think about some of the things that we noticed, okay, and let's talk about that with your friend sitting next to you. And now let's look at the chart to see if what you were thinking is captured here, okay? So we talked about how in this book he shows and tells how the characters learn lessons about being brave, right? And the title, again with this one, Sheila Ray the Brave, the title, he names the main character, and it also, with this one, tells the main idea. It tells about what this book is going to be about Sheila Ray being brave. But this book had Sheila, the main character, in it. Lily's Big Day had, the title had the main character in it. Julius Baby of the World had the main character, and also Chrysanthemum. Pretty cool. And then sometimes he adds words to his illustrations, which we noticed. And then he uses watercolors and black markers to make the illustrations with this book too. Okay, so I hope that you enjoyed Sheila Ray the Brave.